compliment the Congresswoman. She teed it up, and I hope you're ready for this. But first of all, I've not heard too many thanks, but Lisa, the firewoman, mentioned heading one way into danger when everybody else is running away from it. I want to thank the firemen, the emergency responders, law enforcement, and anyone who served or is currently on duty in the military for their dedication and their service to this great country. Thank you very much. So the Constitution, as you know, starts out, we the people. It does not say we the government or we the leaders. It does not say we the government or we the leaders. Government answers to we the people. Right. Government employment and government leadership is an honor, a privilege, and a service to we the people. Government employment and leadership is not a right. It's not a current constitutional right, and certainly it is not an amendment to the Constitution. In my 2 careers, I've seen many people educated well beyond their means to learn. Similarly, I've seen a lot of leaders in positions of leadership well beyond their capacity to lead. That appears to me to be close to the current state in Albany, New York, and by the way, in Washington, D.C., inside the Beltway. Is that why Cuomo's SAFE Act was cobbled together behind closed doors and rammed through the legislature in record time? There is much more wrong than what is right in the Capitol, both capitals. Cuomo's SAFE Act is not what we the people want. Our freedoms and the Constitution are under assault. If Cuomo's SAFE Act is allowed to stand, it will impact, as you know, the Second Amendment. I've not heard it mentioned today, but I think everyone here, just by virtue of you being here, know why the Second Amendment was added to the Constitution by the Founding Fathers. Yes, sir. It was to prevent a despotic imperial government, the King of England, sir, and the Redcoats from taking over and running us, stifling our liberties, much like Cuomo's SAFE Act today. If then the Second Amendment, if the Second Amendment is neutered, what's next? Is it the first, free speech and religion? Is it the fourth, against illegal searches and seizures? Or is it the fifth, self-incrimination? Think about that for a moment. But you get the idea. Do not let Cuomo's SAFE Act stand. As citizens of this great country, we all have a sacred responsibility to leave this country a little bit better than we inherited it for our children and our grandchildren. Where'd it go? Don't be afraid to stand up for our values. God, country, family, honor, right versus wrong, and all the rights embodied in the Declaration and in the Constitution. Cuomo's SAFE Act is not what we the people want. In the private business sector, there is a concept called voice of the customer. Anybody here familiar with it? Voice of the customer. Now you wonder how American business makes their bottom line. It's running companies like this. If they're going to make a change, they don't cobble it together Friday night or over the weekend and announce it at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. They test their customers. Their internal customers, everybody that works at the company, and external customers. They pull those people. They analyze that. Did Cuomo do that in Albany for we the people? No, he rammed it through. We, the people, want the SAFE Act stopped, and we want it stopped now, and the intrusions on our liberty. Before I close, I want to make one comment on the state of education in the country and in this great state of New York. We've forgotten our history. And it's George Santayana, a Spanish philosopher in 1905, that wrote, "Those that are ignorant of it are doomed to repeat it." That's not quite what he said, because what he said was, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Over the years, it has morphed into that statement. Those who are ignorant of history are doomed to repeat it. Little known, the sentence before that includes, in part, and I'm going to quote, "When experience is not retained, as among savages, infancy is perpetual." Infancy is perpetual. In my opinion, infancy epitomizes much of the liberals and the liberal movement. Thank you very much.